Greetings in the name of Jesus. May His victory be yours today. May His overcoming power be yours today. And may all of these things come together to give you a victorious Christian experience that will take you from this point to life eternal. May His peace and His grace and His mercy overshadow you. And may you know that you are in fellowship with a just God. There are none fairer in the universe. There is none more righteous and equal in the universe. Money does not impress Him. Status in society does not impress Him. The only thing that impresses Him is the inner man, and how the inner man has purpose to follow God. I had a bout with my breathing last night, and right now I'm not having a whole lot of fun. And I have purposed in my heart that God's will be done. I have prayed for a miraculous happening so that my wife and I could go back to the U.S. and maybe have a little bit to start out on. It hasn't happened. Do I believe that God is resisting me? No. Mercy, no. But I know that He has a purpose for the things happening the way that they do. And I promised God a long time ago that through this sickness, if I was to find out that all of a sudden my time was short, and I mean by words of the doctor, I would still glorify the King of Kings. And I would still live my life with the type of actions that would cause people to know that there is something different about the Christian experience. There's something deeper about the walk. There's something more profound about the truths. And man himself, or man within himself, cannot conjure up visions of grandeur and let them last, let alone be able to feel them in his soul as truth. These visions, these dreams that people are having, are coming from one of two places. They're both coming from the spirit world. But there are two spirit worlds. Both are diametrically opposed to the other one. Both have a very different purpose for being where they're at. And when you receive a dream or a vision, and certainly I'm not talking about any of the visions or dreams that people have shared with me, because they all seem like they are God sent. I am not normally an interpreter of dreams. I do not pray for the interpretation. If I've got 8 or 9 gifts operating in my life, then I'm doing well. but I am taking the glory and the blessings away from somebody else by taking the whole show. Now I know that I will not have a ministry like I had dreamed of, or even that I had had a few years ago. My time is coming. And as I look back and see the waste of sin, the desolation, the destruction that I have seen men entertain in their lives because of sin, I wonder, why can't they see the simple truth? And it's because there are two spiritual sources. And somehow we become muddled in the middle. Many of us desire to be Bible scholars par excellence. Many of us desire to know the truth fully and completely through study of the Bible. And that's good. But there are also just as many people who unknowingly study the Bible, argue the verses, because they do not believe. And they are trying to grab some truth so that they can hang on until the Master comes. I know that these people will not make it, because instead of healing their souls and going to the point where God can teach them, assist them, and guide them, they want to learn on their own. And the Bible is the kind of instrument that you can't really do that with, because there are always outside forces, evil in nature, that are trying to muddy up God's pure word and interpretation of what he wanted to say. This is why we have so many denominations. This is why we have so many beliefs. I read something that broke my heart the other day. And I look at YouTube quite a bit. I don't spend a whole lot of time on Facebook anymore. But YouTube is generally where I'm at. And a man who had written me made the statement, and he was talking about, I don't know, something far out. And he was talking about the fools that believe in the rapture. The foolish idea of the rapture. Sir, you can count me as one of those fools. As a matter of fact, you can count me as the greatest fool. Because I believe with my whole heart that God is going to deliver his elect. It may not be at the beginning of the tribulation period. It may not be at the middle, but it will certainly be before God pours his indignation, his pure and righteous wrath upon the earth. This was not intended for God's people. And those people will all be gone. Now, there was war in heaven. the Lord mentioned that in a word that he gave me at 2 o'clock this morning in a prior video. There was war in heaven. Now we have gone approximately 6,000 years. And Satan has not tried to attack God's armies until something happens. Until something very special is put on the record or the annals of history. Now, what is that? I believe it is the rapture of the saints. I believe that the rapture will show Satan, just like the no more place found in heaven and him being thrown down to the earth, that he has a short time. And this is one of the most cataclysmic, blessed promises besides salvation that the Bible holds. Jesus said, I am coming back for you. He didn't say, I'm coming back to save the world or the earth or anything. I'm coming back for you, my elect. And he said, unless these days be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. So he's talking about a rescue before the pure, unadulterated wrath of God falls upon this earth. And you will see many, many changes in the atmosphere, in the weather. You will see strange phenomenons all over the place. And that will be this summer and this fall. This is not a prophecy. This is a statement that I am making because I feel the expediency of the hour. I feel the time is that short. And when circumstances and events start to happen, they will happen quickly and fast. Russia is making connotations with Iran. And their mighty armies of Gog and Magog, which is the area of Russia, are flexing their muscles and beating up the younger people on the block. They're taking over nations because they can. But not only that, the prince of Persia is Satan himself. Persia is now Iran. In other words, Satan has a chokehold on that government, on the people, on the circumstances surrounding that nation. And they will come to Israel. We may not see it developing right now, but it will happen because God says it will happen. But the war in heaven is something, there is something that triggers this war. There is something that triggers in Satan the alarm that he needs to fight. 6,000 years, he's held his army back. And all of a sudden, there was war in heaven. And I believe beyond a shadow of doubt that that war will come at the time that the rapture comes. It will be, the purpose of it will be to prevent the gathering in of the saints. A promise of God, which if it doesn't happen, is going to be nullified. And this is exactly what Satan desires to do. So, anybody who says there is no rapture, and this is by virtue of the word rapture not being in the original text. Friends, I have news for you. The word church is not in the original text. Ecclesia is about the closest thing to church that comes. And that is gathering or group gathering. And to bet your soul on a word not being in the Bible is the most foolish move I have ever seen anybody make. Because if you do not believe in it, if you preach against it, if you cause the weak to fall over semantics, you will not be present on that day. Now there's only two places you can be. On the earth, about to receive the cup of the wrath of God, or in heaven with the saints. And I'm not talking about the throne room of God, although it probably will be. We do not enter the holy city until everything is done. There is a new heaven and a new earth, and the holy city comes down as a bride adorned for its groom, and settles upon the earth where the old city was, because this is the land that God claimed for his own, set aside for himself, for time and eternity. He says this time and time again in the Old Testament. But to be in the presence of God and to look upon that precious personage of God, or personages of God, and to start spilling what you felt inside in praise. That's going to be the most wonderful, the most awesome thing that could happen to people. And the people that are taken are changed from mortal to immortality. They are quickened from old age to youth. They are quickened from maybe being deformed, cut to pieces in war, in a traffic accident, in some kind of plane accident. These people will be whole again. And they will look along the same lines as everyone else that's there. God has promised that. And all of the naysayers can do what they want and say what they want, but that just doesn't change the fact that the rapture's in there, the catching away of the saints, the meeting in the air, and the unphysical return of Jesus. Because when he meets us in the air, he'll take us back so that the time of extreme trouble can come. He does not set his feet upon the earth until the tribulation is over and he's ready to set up his government. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, and I'm sure there are those that do, I am gracious enough to read them, to accept them. If you want an answer, fine. But please don't be deceitful. I've had some people who come representing themselves as something, and God tells me there's something else. I've had some people that I try to answer, and their address doesn't exist. You're not showing your intelligence, and I would say your Christian experience, but a Christian wouldn't have time to do that in this day and age. The only ones who would cut the Bible to pieces, would cut faith to pieces, would cut any kind of established belief or any kind of order in the church, would be those who are standing on the outside looking in, and that is where they are going to perform their wickedness. So if you are standing up for the non-existence of a rapture, go ahead. It's not too long until you find out the truth. God bless you. God keep you. God cause his face to shine upon you and give you his peace. Maranatha.